Recently, I reviewed the Poco F2 Pro, which in my opinion is the best bang you can spend on a smartphone in terms of price to performance ratio. I will leave a link in the description below if you want to check it out. But with auto flagship price getting higher and higher, I think it's time for us to take a step back and take a look at some of the lower price smartphones to save some of your hard-earned cash. But as a tech person, we won't want to take so many steps back and settle with some mid-range chip. We want one of the fastest and greatest chip available with the lowest amount of money that we can spend on. Just between you and me, do you know there is a much better deal if $500 is out of your budget than the Poco F2 Pro? Just get its predecessor. The Xiaomi Mi 9T Pro, also known as the Redmi K20 Pro in other markets such as China and India. It rocks a still very capable Snapdragon 855, 6GB of RAM, and 128GB of storage, which its performance can rival some of the flagship in 2020. And the best thing is, it currently costs around $350. What a steal. Here are some benchmarks comparing the latest and greatest Snapdragon 865 and this 855, and take a look at the result. There are not much difference in terms of performance and figure, and the difference is even less apparent when it is in day-to-day use. The Mi 9T Pro still performs strong, and you won't even notice this is a 1.5-year-old processor. Everyday swiping left and right and gaming still feel fluid and no lag whatsoever. But this is to be expected as a 2019 flagship smartphone. Similar to the Poco F2 Pro, I still think this implementation of front-facing camera is the best. Pop up when you need it and hide it when you want to focus on your content. Many users may concern that the pop-up camera will get stuck or not moving up if you open and close it too frequently, as it is the only moving part in the phone. And moving parts tend to break or malfunction as we daily use the phone. But as of today, 1 year later, the camera still pop up as fast as the first day I use it. So, I think this shouldn't be the main concern if you are looking to buy a phone with a pop-up camera. One thing to note, since this smartphone have a moving part, there is no IP rating whatsoever. So, be careful with splashes. Speaking of full screen display, we have to talk about the display itself. This phone sports a large flat 6.4-inch Full HD Super AMOLED screen. Consuming content with this full screen with no notch or punch-hole display is a joy to use. Although it lacks some of the defining feature on most 2020 smartphones, such as 90Hz or 120Hz display, this standard 60Hz display is still very capable. Even though I daily use this iPad Pro with 120Hz refresh rate, I don't find the Mi 9T Pro 60Hz display is disappointing. It still feels very fluid and no lag whatsoever. And I don't find this display is any way, shape or form a huge letdown. And while we are in the topic of media consumption, the single downward firing speaker on this phone is quite a surprise. Sure, it can be easily blocked while holding it in landscape mode, but it is surprisingly loud and clear. The sound did not crack even though I pumped the volume to the max and it is not distorted. But I would really appreciate if this phone have a dual speaker. Heck, they can even use the earpiece as a secondary speaker. But with the amount I pay for this, some corners have to be cut in order to achieve the price that we're looking at. But one good thing that did not cut is the headphone jack. The good old headphone jack, which may be a key deciding factor for some people. I am okay with the removal of the headphone jack, as the only time I plug in both USB-C and headphone is when I'm low in battery and would like to continue listening to music or media consumption. But this is not so a problem when we have the 27W fast charge. With the not so large by 2020 standard 4000 mAh battery, I could have around 6 hours of screen on time that could last me a full day with long hours of YouTube consumption. The fast 27W charger is just a cherry on top, which is able to charge the Mi 9T Pro from 0% to 30 in 15 minutes. A lifesaver when you are really low on battery. No wireless charging is not a deal breaker for me, as the 27W fast charger is more reliable and the phone won't get too warm during the charging process. About the camera itself, the image quality from this main 48MP shooter is acceptable in normal lighting condition. And with the 8MP telephoto lens and 30MP ultra-wide camera, this will be a quite versatile shooter. It shoots a maximum 4K at 30 frames per second, which is almost on par with most 2020 smartphones. The night mode on this camera is where I found quite disappointing. The photo produced is still dark and the details are not popping out. Some of the noticeable thing that I want to bring up is this is a dual SIM smartphone. So it will be quite useful if you frequently travel between countries or to place your personal and work SIM card to avoid carrying two different phones around. The in-screen fingerprint sensor is fast, but since I am putting on a screen protector, it may take some time before registering, but you could always use the face unlock feature. Overall, buying the previous year flagship smartphone is the best choice for any budget conscientious purchaser. You get a phone that's almost on par with the current year flagship smartphone in terms of build quality, performance, and possible longer software support. And that's it. Leave a comment down below if you have any question that I missed out in this video. And thanks for watching. Ciao!